Reektel Station floated near the edge of the Sarn Belt, a massive ring of dead ships, frozen metal, and lost dreams. Most people came to Reektel to trade parts, make deals, or disappear. It was not a clean place. It was not safe. But for Jace Marin, it was just another stop on a long road through space. Jace was a human, tall and strong, with sharp eyes and a face that looked tired but alert. He had been a soldier once, but now he was a salvage pilot. His ship, the Iron Wind, was old, patched together from dozens of other ships, but it flew, and that was all he needed. He came to Reektel to find a working grav thruster. His last one had burned out after a plasma storm in the Eric Rift. The dealers on level 4 were full of junk, charging too much for broken tech. After an hour of searching, he found himself wandering farther into the lower levels of the station. Down there, the lights were dim and the air smelled like rust and old plastic. Most people avoided this part of Reektel. It was called the return room. In that room were glass chambers, rows of them, each one holding something living. Some were small creatures, bred to be pets or workers. Some were androids with damaged skins or flickering eyes. And some were people. Jace paused in front of one chamber. Inside was a girl-an alien, tall and slender, with silver blue skin and long black hair. Her eyes were closed, her body still inside a sleep field. The tag on the glass read, Ilyari Model 9C. Psionic Class Companion Return X3, emotionally unstable. Requires control implant. Do not resell without license. Jace frowned. He had heard of the Ilyari. They were once a proud race, gifted with natural psionics. But after the fall of their homeworld, many were taken and turned into products by biotech companies, sold as servants, companions, even weapons. He looked at her face. She was not asleep. Her eyes were open barely, just enough to watch him through the glass. Not afraid, not begging, just watching. A voice came from behind him. You don't want that one. Jace turned. A short, pale man with metal fingers stood holding a data pad. She's broken. Returned 3 times. Doesn't listen. Doesn't bond. We're probably scrapping her next cycle. What's the price? Jace asked. The man blinked. You serious? You're not licensed for live. Bio-companions. I don't want a companion, Jace said. I want to take her with me, as crew. The man laughed. She doesn't speak, doesn't follow orders. She's useless, still, Jace said. What's the price to remove her from the list? Full ownership. No tracker. No return rights? The man stared. You're insane. Jace shrugged. Maybe. But I'm paying in credits, not words. An hour later, the Ilyari girl lay on a clean bed in the Iron Wind's med bay. Her name, according to the records, was Chiral. Age, 23 Ilyari cycles. Height, 1.85 meters. Class, Psi-type 9. Emotional rating, defective. Jace sat beside the medbed, sipping coffee. He didn't try to talk to her. She hadn't spoken a word during the trip. She just sat, quiet, alert, but never panicked. Her eyes followed everything. The ship's AI chimed in. Captain Marin. Are you sure about this? The subject has no behavioral programming and shows signs of mental trauma. She's not a subject, Jace said. She's crew. She does not meet any of the requirements for crew. She is a bioproduct. No, she's someone who's had a bad few. Yours, let's give her one good one. See what happens. The AI paused. As you wish, Captain. Over the next few days, Chiral stayed silent. She ate only when left alone. She walked carefully, always watching, never touching anything. She avoided Jace's eyes, but she never tried to run. She didn't hide. Jace didn't push her. He didn't ask questions. He fixed the ship, ran diagnostics, cleaned the filters, and talked out loud sometimes about space routes, old war stories, or the best places to find spare parts. One day, while Jace was repairing a coolant line under the floor grating, he heard a soft noise behind him. He looked up. Chiral was holding a spanner. Here, she said. It was the first word she had spoken. Jace blinked. Thanks. She didn't smile, just handed it to him and walked away. The next day, She was in the engine room again, this time, watching him repair the plasma vent. The day after, she handed him a fuse before he even asked. Bit by bit, she was joining the rhythm of the ship. Then came the moment that changed everything. They landed on a backwater moon to pick up some supplies. A local customs officer approached the ship, scanning Jace's ID and then turning to Chiral. She's a companion unit? The officer asked, pulling out a scan stick. Need to verify her license and bonding tag. Jace stepped between them. She's crew. You don't scan. Crew? The officer raised an eyebrow. Then where's her ID? She doesn't have one, Jace said flatly. But she's with me. That's enough. The officer looked like he wanted to argue. But one look at Jace's face changed his mind. Fine. He said, but next port, get her registered. When they returned to the ship, Chiral stood by the door in silence. Why? She asked softly. Why what? Why did you stop him? Because you're not a product, Jace said. You're not someone's pet. You're free. And no one scans crew. Chiral stared at him. Her hands trembled slightly, but she didn't look away. That night, she sat in the common room while he made dinner. She even asked him a question about the stars near Orion's Gap. It wasn't much, but it was a start. The Iron Wind moved quietly through deep space, her engines humming like a low heartbeat. Inside the ship, life had started to change. Chiral was no longer just walking in silence. Now, she joined Jace in the engine room. She watched how the tools worked, how the wires connected. She never asked for anything, but her eyes were always focused, always learning. Jace had been around enough machines to notice something else. Chiral wasn't acting like a programmed unit. She was thinking, deciding. Even when she made mistakes, she corrected herself without orders. She wasn't following commands. She was trying. One day, while Jace was checking the shield capacitor, Chiral walked in with a small tablet. I drew this, she said, holding it out. It was a diagram. Not perfect, but close. She had copied the ship's engine layout from memory and marked areas she wanted to ask about. Jace smiled and nodded. You got most of it right. That's the fusion. Bypass line. Good eye. You ever study engineering? Chiral looked at the floor. Only. Watched others. Never allowed to learn. Well, Jace said, handing the tablet back, you're learning now. That moment was quiet, simple. But to Chiral, it felt like sunlight after years of darkness. Later, that week the Iron Wind stopped at a spaceport on Vega Minor. Jace needed fuel cells and food packs. Chiral stayed inside the ship, sitting by the window, watching the people walk by outside. She saw humans, aliens, robots laughing, yelling, trading things. But she also saw handlers, people with leashes, chains, and cold eyes, dragging bio companions. Behind them, some looked scared, others numb. Chiral touched her own neck. It had once carried a lock collar. The skin was still sore where the metal had burned her. But now, it was gone. Hey, Jace said as he returned, carrying bags. You all right? Chiral turned. You don't treat me like them. Jace raised an eyebrow. Like who? Buyers, owners. I've had 5 before. They only gave commands. No names. No choice. Jace leaned against the wall, dropping the bags gently. I'm not them. He said, and you're not a thing. Chiral's voice was quiet, but I was made to be one. Jace shook his head. Doesn't matter how you were made. What matters is what you choose to be. That night, Chiral asked if she could sleep in her own room instead of the medbay. Jace helped her set it up. She picked out a blue blanket and a small plant for the shelf. She was starting to feel like a person again. But peace doesn't last long in space. A week later, the Iron Wind received a coded signal while passing through the Yareth Drift. It came from an old satellite. Jace thought it was just junk. But when he decrypted it, the truth chilled him. Arid Incorporation Recovery Order. Subject 9C. Terminated lease. Asset retrieval active. All registered bounty enforcers authorized for live capture. Jace read it twice, then looked at Chiral, who was helping sort wiring coils in the corner. He didn't tell her? Not yet. He rerouted the ship to take a slower path through dead space. He turned off all ID beacons. He wiped their flight logs. He even started sleeping near the cockpit in case they were followed. But it didn't matter. 3 days later, a black hunter ship appeared on long-range scans, fast, silent, built for capturing escapees. Jace didn't panic. He told Chiral to stay low and powered the ship into a drift field, letting cosmic radiation mask their trail. For now, it worked. But they both knew something had changed. Chiral finds out at night. While Jace was asleep, Chiral entered the cockpit and found the decoded signal still on the screen. She read every word. Her hands shook. She didn't wake him. She didn't scream. She just quietly packed a small bag and walked to the airlock. She was going to leave. She thought it was the only way to protect him. But Jace had always been a light sleeper. He found her standing in the airlock, fingers hovering over the release button. "What do you think you're doing?" he asked, voice low but calm. Chiral didn't turn around. "They're coming for me. You'll be in danger." "I can't stay. I know about the message," Jace said. "You knew." Her voice cracked. "I didn't tell you because I knew you'd do this." He stepped closer. "You're not cargo. You're not a mistake. You're not leaving this ship like garbage." She turned to face him. Tears were falling. But her expression was hard. "But I bring risk. You save me. I don't want to ruin that." Jace nodded. "And I'm telling you, as captain of this ship your ship so you don't walk away because of some cowards in suits." He placed a hand gently on the wall beside her, not touching her directly. "You're part of this crew, Chiral, and crew doesn't run from each other. Not ever." A new Namath next day. Jace opened the ship registry and added a new line, Second Officer, Chiral Saren. Ilyari status, active crew showed it to her during breakfast. "You gave me a last name." She whispered, "Every person deserves one." Jace replied. She smiled then, a real smile. Not shy, not forced. It was bright and full of something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. And for the first time in her life, Chiral believed she might have a future. The Ironwind floated in deep space, far away from any official trade route. The stars outside blinked like old lanterns, cold and distant, inside the ship. Life continued quiet, steady, but with a shadow following them. Chiral had changed. No longer silent and scared. She now helped with every part of the ship: navigation, repair, cooking, and even cargo scanning. She asked questions. She even laughed sometimes. But at night, when the lights were dim and Jace was asleep, she sat by the window and stared out into space. The memory of Eridan Corporation was like a weight on her chest. They had created her, sold her, returned her. To them, she was never real, never whole. Just a model, a living machine. Now they were coming to take her back. She had felt free for the first time in her life. But now she feared that freedom wouldn't last. Memories that don't stay buried. Morning. Jace found Chiral in the engine room, sitting on the floor, her arms wrapped around her knees. He sat beside her and waited. After a few minutes, she spoke. "They took my voice once, Jace. Stayed quiet. They installed a silencer chip in my neck. I wasn't allowed to speak for weeks, not even to ask for water." Her voice was shaking. "One of the buyers said I was too loud, so they muted me." Jace's hands curled into fists. But he didn't interrupt. "When I was returned, they erased parts of my memory. I don't even know which ones. I only remember pain, darkness, cold floors, bright lights, and commands. So many commands." She looked at him then. Her eyes were glassy. "But with you, I feel like I'm waking up, like I'm me again. I don't want to lose that." Jace placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "You won't," he said. "We'll protect that piece of you, together." The first real test rebel came sooner than expected. While passing near the Gravari belt, the Ironwind picked up a distress signal from a nearby freighter, the Morax. A mining ship had suffered an engine fire and was losing life support. Jace couldn't ignore it. "We'll help and leave fast," he told Chiral. "Emergency jump is ready if things go bad." They docked carefully. The freighter was dark, cold, and filled with smoke. Jace wore a filter mask, and Chiral followed close behind. They found 3 injured crew members, humans struggling to seal a fuel leak. Chiral immediately got to work. patching cables and guiding them to oxygen tanks. She didn't hesitate. Her hands were steady, her face calm. You trained her well, one of the crew said to Jace. Jace looked at Chiral and smiled. She trained herself. But as they returned to the Iron Wind, something happened. The ship's AI alerted. Unidentified. Signal pursuit class vessel detected. 12,000 kilometers and closing. Jace checked the scan. It was them, Aaron's hunter ship. The escape, we don't have long, Jace said. Already starting the launch sequence, Chiral's face was pale, but she nodded. I'll handle shields. The hunter ship was faster, newer, and armed. The Iron Wind was old, but Jace had rebuilt it with layers of hidden tricks. They flew into the edge of the Gravari belt full of spinning rocks. Magnetic storms and SHIPWRECKS. The hunter followed. Chiral focused hard, channeling all shield power to the rear. Her hands moved across the console like she'd been doing it for years. Brace. Jace shouted as an asteroid zipped past the front window, scraping the hull. The enemy ship fired a pulse shot that shook the Iron Wind hard. Lights flickered, warning lights flashed, but Jace grinned. Come on, you rich creeps. Let's see if your shiny ship can dance. He dove into a dense field of debris, old mining stations, satellite parts, frozen cargo crates. The hunter hesitated. Chiral took her chance. Magnet lines dead ahead. Jace saw what she meant to massive iron ore platforms, connected by steel cables. He flew through them. The hunter tried to follow. Too late. The platforms collapsed under the magnetic burst. The hunter ship got caught, scraping its side and spinning off course. They jumped to light speed seconds later. After the chase, the ship was quiet again. Jace sat in the cockpit, breathing hard. Chiral walked in and dropped into the co-pilot seat. You okay? He asked. I should be scared, she said softly. But I'm not. He turned to her. For the first time, I fought back. I wasn't someone's tool. I wasn't running. I was part of something. Jace nodded. You were brilliant. Chiral looked at him. If they keep coming, will you still protect me? Jace didn't blink. Every time, a new purpose later. That night, Chiral sat alone in her room. She opened the drawer beside her bed and pulled out something she hadn't touched in years. A silver disc with the Eliari crest. It had once been her identity seal, removed when she was taken. She stared at it for a long time, then slowly attached it to a chain and wore it around her neck. Not as property, not as a tag, as a sign that she belonged to herself. The Iron Wind hid near the edge of a shattered moon field called the Absol Rings. Old ships, broken stations, and mining wrecks floated silently through the area. It was dangerous space, no trade routes, no patrols, no rules. Perfect for hiding. Jace stood at the center of the ship's command room, watching the scanner. Chiral sat nearby, scanning the navigation map, marking floating wrecks as possible cover points. The hunter ship survived, she said quietly. Their signal is back. I figured, Jace replied, voice calm. They won't stop now. We embarrassed them. Chiral tapped a button and pulled up the bounty notice again. Her face was steady. They increased the reward. And now it's not just bounty hunters. Airden sent a corporate recovery team. So they want you bad. Jace muttered, no. Chiral corrected. They don't want me. They want what I can be. A weapon, a blueprint, a tool they lost. She looked at Jace, eyes fierce. They don't see a person. But I do now, and I'm not going back. The trap plan, we can't keep running. Chiral said later in the engine room. They'll track us forever. Jace nodded. You thinking what I'm thinking? She pointed to the screen behind him. That dead freighter in the rings, it's full of fuel cells and scrap metal. We could rig it, set a trap. Jace raised an eyebrow. Like a magnetic feedback bomb, with a remote ignition and a fake heat signal to pull them in. Jace laughed. You really are part of the crew now. Over the next 2 days, they worked non-stop. They flew to the derelict freighter, boarded it in zero gravity, and filled its central core with unstable plasma rods. Chiral rewired the control system using pieces from old mining bots. Jace loaded missile tubes with crushed metal shards, deadly at close range. Finally, they flew the Iron Wind behind a giant asteroid and waited. They took the Bathors later. The hunter ship arrived sleek, dark, and armed. It picked up the fake signal from the freighter, heat signatures, a bio reading, and trace fuel lines. They moved in, thinking they had finally cornered their target. Inside the Iron Wind, Chiral watched the screen. Wait, she whispered. They're scanning deep. They're cautious. Jace's fingers hovered over the trigger. Too cautious. They might send a drone first. Chiral reached for the override control. Let me send them something better. She pressed a button and the freighter lit up from inside. A moving silhouette appeared in the main window. A humanoid figure, wearing a cloak, walking across the broken bridge. That's your old holomask, Jace said, from the cargo dummy. They'll think it's me, she said. The hunter ship fired a disabling pulse. That was the signal. Jace pressed the trigger. Explosion in the ringed freighter didn't just explode, it erupted. Plasma rods ignited one after the other, creating a wave of magnetic force that smashed the nearby debris together. The hunter ship was caught in the blast, its hull cracked, its side engines torn apart by flying metal. Chiral activated the second device, a pulse jammer. The hunter's signal went dark. They're blind, she said. Now's our chance. Jace replied. They launched. The Iron Wind flew round the broken hunter ship. Jace aimed the ion cannon and fired at their engines. A burst of white light disabled the last thrusters. The enemy ship began to drift, helpless, boarding or leave. Them? Jace asked. Chiral stared at the damaged ship. They'll send more. We need to send a message. Face to Scifi boarded the hunter ship together. Inside, smoke filled the halls. Lights flickered. Bodies groaned. At the center, they found them. Mission leader, a tall man in black armor, his badge glowing with the Eridan symbol. He looked at Chiral with narrowed eyes. You're just a product, he said coldly. You don't get to run. Chiral stepped forward, her voice calm. I was made in a lab, sold 5 times, broken, hurt, forgotten. She looked him in the eyes. But I survived all of it, and now I decide who I am. The man reached for a weapon. Jace aimed his plasma pistol before he could grab it. Try me, Jace warned. The man hesitated, then stopped. Chiral walked closer. I'm not a product, she said again. I'm crew. I'm family, and I'm free. She reached out her hand and the lights flickered again. Her power awakens for the first time since she was made. Chiral didn't hold back her psionic energy. She had always been told to suppress it, that it was too unstable, too dangerous. But now, she was in control. The walls around her began to vibrate. Metal tools floated. Electricity danced across wires. The hunter captain fell to his knees, holding his head. I won't destroy you, Chiral said, voice full of power. But I will erase your memory logs, your ship data, and your mission trail. She waved her hand and the consoles around. Them sparked and died. Every backup, every chip. Gone. The captain screamed in rage. Chiral turned away. You can tell Eridan one thing, she said. Claim denied. A new fire back on the Iron Wind. Jace poured 2 glasses of juice and handed one to Chiral. You okay? He asked. I feel. She smiled, surprised, like I can breathe again. Jace raised his glass. To freedom. Chiral tapped hers against his. To family. They watched the stars together as the Iron Wind slipped back into quiet space. Behind them, the hunter ship drifted without power, silent and blind. Ahead of them, the stars opened wide. The Iron Wind glided through peaceful space, its engines humming gently. The stars outside were quiet. No hunters. No scans. No pursuit. Inside, things had changed. Chiral now wore a navy blue coat, with the Iron Wind symbol on the sleeve, something Jace had made for her from spare patches and ship cloth. She moved with calm confidence. Her steps were steady. Her eyes were clear. Jace watched her as she checked the console readings. Autoflux systems holding, she reported. Shield core at 92%. Nice, Jace said with a nod. You're faster than me now. She smiled, then turned serious. We need new supplies. The coolant filters are low. Already charted a stop, Jace said. A quiet little port on the edge of neutral space. No Eridan tags. Safe. Chiral paused. Looking at him. Are we always going to run? Jace leaned back in the captain's seat. We're not running. We're living. Free. That just means choosing smart paths. Chiral nodded slowly. Then I think I'm ready for something. The Mesageith at night. Chiral sat at the communication panel and activated the old Ilyari beacon and ancient encrypted frequency used by her people before their fall. She recorded her voice. Speaking slowly, clearly, my name is Chiral Saren. I was made by Eridan Corporation. Sold, used, returned. But now I'm free. If you hear this, any of you like me know that you are not alone. A human helped me escape. He gave me a ship, a name, a place. I choose who I am now. And you can too. Follow the stars. Find your path. You are not property. You are people. She sent the signal across deep space networks, masking its location through layered encryption. When she turned around, Jace was standing at the door. You're sure about that? He asked gently. Yes, she said. There are more like me out there. They deserve to know it's possible. Jace nodded. Then let's be the ship that gives them a way out. New visitors 2 weeks later, in a port station orbiting a quiet red star. A strange message arrived at their docking gate. It was short and full of errors, but it had heart. Her voice, not sure if fake. We want to talk. Don't scan us, Chiral. Looked up at Jace. They found the message. The visitors were 3 beings to Ilyari and 1 hybrid, all scared but curious. They had escaped small holdings, hiding in smugglers' ships and garbage haulers. One of them, a boy with white hair, and shaking hands, whispered, You're real. Chiral took his hand gently. So are you? You're not broken, just hurt. Jace brought them water, food, and warm blankets. He didn't ask for names. He just gave them space. That night, Chiral looked at the stars again. She realized something. This wasn't just her escape anymore. It was the beginning of something larger. Rebuilding an identity over the next month, the Iron Wind stopped at forgotten outposts and neutral planets. Chiral helped every return product they met. Some wanted new names. Some just wanted to sleep without fear. Chiral made it a habit to give each person a bracelet with a star symbol. The symbol of freedom, as she called it. Stars are never owned, she said. They burn on their own. So do you? She also began writing a personal log of memories, thoughts, and stories. She called it, What Was Taken? What Remains? Jace read it quietly one night and left a note. What remains is more powerful than what they ever tried to take. The corporation reacts, or Iden Corporation tried to respond. They launched press releases, called the escapees unstable units, claimed false data leaks. But the truth was spreading faster than they could contain it. Other humans began noticing. Independent traders, free stations, and ex-military captains started offering shelter to those who once had nowhere to go. Some even began hunting down the facilities where bioproducts were stored, exposing the darkness. And the name Chiral Saren started to appear on underground networks not as a product, but as a symbol. Peace, for Nauman's past, the Iron Wind, became more than just a ship. It became a legend whispered across mining camps and scrapyard bars. Jace didn't talk much about it. He just kept flying. One evening, while the stars passed slowly outside, Chiral joined him on the top of the ship, sitting beside him with a mug of tea. You still think I'm crew? She asked softly. More than that, Jace said. She looked at him. Then what am I? Jace didn't answer right away. He just stared at the stars. Then he said, Your family. The kind you don't find, you earn. Chiral leaned against him, her head resting on his shoulder. I never thought I'd have that, she whispered. You do now. He said. The final Choiceon day. Chiral stood at the main console and looked at the map of the stars. Dozens of signals now blinked across at people like her, calling for help. She turned to Jace. I want to build something. He raised an eyebrow. A station, a sanctuary, a place where people like me can learn, grow, choose, not hide. Live. Jace nodded slowly. We'll need credits, supplies, defenses. Chiral grinned. I've learned from the best. He smiled back. Then let's build it. The new beginning. Iron Wind flew off once more toward a distant moon full of old ruins and untouched land. Chiral looked out the window, her Ilyari crest now proudly on her jacket. Next to the human patch of the Iron Wind, She wasn't a return product anymore. She was a founder, a leader, a living star, and in every part of space where someone thought they were alone, her voice still echoed, "You are not owned. You are not broken. You are free. And you are not alone."